My music. Well, my background was that I used to be in bands and so in the UK, and since I came over here to the Netherlands, pretty much I've just got my little studio together with all the bits and bobs, and I just do stuff pretty more or less on my own. But yeah, generally everything is done in this little room here, and I don't know if you can see around you, but this room used to be a kitchen, and we just basically ripped the sink out, and so this is like the work surface on the top here. I've still got the kitchen covers and the tiles here. It was one of the best rooms to use because the amount of power sockets in here, so it's all kind of set up to handle quite a lot of electrical stuff. So the stuff that I'm kind of working on at the moment is generally fairly ambient, really, I would say, if I had to put a tag on it. And there is a concept behind it, and that is that I was quite interested in this story of they have these radio stations in usually in the old Eastern Bloc countries that emit these signals or just sounds or people talking or like almost like Morse code or just people reciting numbers. Nobody knows where these why these stations exist or where they're actually broadcasting from. So there's all these mysterious radio stations going on, and one of the theories is behind it is that they are a remnant of the Cold War, and the idea was that if this radio signal could no longer be heard, it was a sign that that country had been attacked by nuclear weapons. So you would listen out for this radio signal, it would just keep repeating, giving numbers or random things out or whatever. And if they couldn't hear that signal anymore, then it was like, okay, well, they must have been attacked, and that would be their key to launch a nuclear attack against their enemy. So I don't know how true that is, but it's a great story. So so a lot of these kind of noises, signals, sounds, or whatever, I've tried to kind of incorporate into some of these tracks I've been working on recently. On YouTube, and there's lots of websites that are dedicated to finding out more about these sounds and these radio signals. And yeah, obviously on YouTube there's lots of samples and there's lots of resources there which I can take samples of myself and put into tracks and use them as kind of backing for what I would do on top, more kind of melodic, tune-based stuff. And yeah, but they really add a kind of eeriness to the music, and it's because you don't know what they are or why they're there, and yeah, I think they really add something to the general feel of the creepiness behind the actual music itself. Yeah. Yeah, so one of the tracks I did was called Ghost Station, and that can relate to a radio station that you don't know the origins of or the meaning of, but also as another further kind of Cold War connection. I wanted to talk a bit more about Eastern Europe around that the Cold War era. A ghost station also means a metro station in Berlin, which on paper doesn't exist anymore because it was neither really in east or west, and so people would actually drive through on metros through stations that are no longer open anymore because they were not allowed access to them because of where they were situated, either in the east of Berlin and or the west of Berlin, and the people couldn't get into the stations. So the stations were still there, and you would ride through them, but they were not to be used. So they gave the name Ghost Station as well. Yeah. I found the Cold War thing quite interesting because yeah, there is this kind of real eeriness to it, and just the whole kind of Stasi secret police type thing is adds, I think, a bit of kind of narrative to the music as well. It's sort of the general kind of feel I was trying to get with this. Yeah. What's this hand thing? It's like an effects unit, so you've got delay and reverb and kind of stuff on it, and it'll just change the type of delay or whatever by wherever you put your finger on the thing. Yeah, I did a track called "Call to No One," which didn't use any of the samples of the radio stations or the sounds that were being transmitted, but I wanted to give it this feeling, this real epic feeling of emptiness, really, and just a sound that was going out to the world, but no one could hear it because maybe the world had ended, and it was like a last tune that people would perhaps hear or not hear, depending on what had happened. Yeah. The whole project is inevitably to kind of create a whole album. Well, not that we have albums much these days, but just a continuous kind of theme across, I don't know, 12, 13 tracks. And I use this to kind of, you can't really see everything on it, but it's just to kind of keep an idea of where I am. So a list of the track names, I'm creating the length of them, what notes what needs to be done on it, and how far I've got in doing the track. So everything's all on the go constantly. So I'm not just working on one track and then finishing it. I tend to just do that, and I'll get bored of it, and I'll go to another track and then work on more on that, and it's just an ongoing process. So it takes quite a lot of time. So yeah, I've decided to invest in a whiteboard because it's the only way I could really keep track on where the hell I was with all this thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it would be great if I could get down to doing 13 tracks, 14 tracks, and then finish it and then put it out as a complete piece, really. Yeah.
What's this one called?
It's called Bananas at the moment.
Why did you call it Bananas?
Following on from the collapse of the Berlin Wall, Berlin type theme, when the East Berliners first came into West Berlin, the first thing they did was go to greengrocers and buy bananas because they'd never seen bananas before. So the Western Berliners were greeting the Eastern Berliners as well with bananas, and it doesn't make you think of bananas, does it, when you see listen to this? Or does it? It takes quite a lot of restraint to try and do music that is just generally more mood centric and kind of more on that ambient side of things, because it's not immediate music, it's very slow burning. It's not like a pop song that's got like, you know, your chorus, your verse and that kind of thing. It really has to build, and you really got to get yourself a bit more involved in those types of music. So even though sometimes it drives me crazy trying to do this stuff, and I will just want to just stop and just do some beats, you know, for 15 minutes just to kind of clear my head. But it's been quite a challenge to just do this type of music and just commit yourself to doing a whole set of tracks based around the same kind of theme. Yeah. I must say, I'm in my converted kitchen right now, and it's all blocked off for daylight, and I just have curtains hanging from the walls here, so there's no natural light coming in. And I tend not to come here in summer too much, so when it's generally I get most work done starting from maybe September, and try and get down here, you know, like a few times a week, and just do a couple of hours here and there, and we can put the headphones on or whatever. I'm not going to disturb the neighbours, and so you just grab the time you can do it, really. I mean, I'm a guy in his 40s with 2 kids. It's I don't have hours and hours to spend on this. I got the day job as well to do. I mean, this kind of thing, you know, no one makes money really out of this kind of stuff anymore. So yeah, you really are doing it for the love of it. So it's a real true hobby. Yeah.
Is there something you're trying to express through this?
Something I'm trying to express through this. No, I don't think I'm not really trying to show anything of myself in particular. In fact, if anything, I quite like the cold detachment of music, that it is really nothing to do with my normal kind of personality. It's not, you know, people who I work with or whatever, I mean, most of them have no idea that I do music and record stuff and take it this seriously. So I quite like that complete cut off from, you know, what I am as a normal day-to-day person. Yeah. Problem with the way I tend to work is that nothing ever gets finished, and you need to kind of bite the bullet one day and say, okay, this is as good as it's going to be. So like using the whiteboard was an idea of just getting everything focused in my head, and I can see, okay, this track is 80% done, right, you know, let's spend a day or so doing this final 20%, let's get this one done. So I'm going to be probably issuing a few tracks here and there on SoundCloud, and then maybe when the whole thing is complete, the whole like 13 tracks worth, then I will see how good I think it is and the reception is, and then maybe put it on iTunes and just kind of promote it a bit more. What I generally try to do is on this whiteboard get an idea of how far I've gone with each of the tracks. I put a percentage on it, and if it's at 80% done, then I'll spend the next day trying to do the final 20% to get that one complete. I'm usually quite difficult as a person to actually say, okay, this track is now complete. But I intend to probably just release a few tracks here and there on SoundCloud or something like that. I have a SoundCloud page. And then finally, if the reception's good enough, then I'll put all the tracks together in one kind of packet and then put it onto iTunes or something like that, and then promote it a bit better than what I usually do. Yeah.
And is it called Project Malenki?
Well, it was a working title, Project Malenki Robot. I just, the AO got missed out. But that was just a working title. It's nothing serious. Sometimes I do remixes for other artists as well. So generally, they will come to me or I come to them and say, can I have the tracks broken down from one of the pieces you've done? And then I'll just chuck it all in here and play around with it, and then do something hopefully they like, and sometimes I don't like. So that's another kind of thing I do as well. Have I got anything here? This is by a local band, Dutch band called Blue Paint, I think they were called, and this is a song of theirs that I did.
Do they pay you for it?
No, but I don't expect them to, because only if it starts like being particularly popular or whatever.
So you're doing them a favour?
yeah, if they like it, then great, and if they want to use it, great. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a good version. Great looking as well. Woo. Hot, this guy. Cowbell. There you go. The way things work is that these days you've got so many inbuilt synthesizers and sound sources from the actual computer itself. It's pretty incredible, and so you don't need an awful lot of outboard stuff. So I've got like an old synthesizer here, I have another synthesizer here, and that's more just to get your hands on dials really and get that feeling of messing around with music while you're actually playing it live. But in terms of the quality of synthesizers and sound creation tools you can get on a computer, I mean, it's just amazing these days what can be done.
Ooh,
so it sounds like that. That's what drums sound like recorded backwards.
Weird. Sounds like a heartbeat. What would you call it?
It's a chaos pad, man. Listen.
Oh, it adds the delay.
Yeah. All kinds of effects.
Do you know what it is you're doing before it happens, or is it a bit like experimenting?
Do you know what the fuck you're doing? Sometimes I do, yeah. So I'm no good bass player, but I just can play a couple of notes on the bass and then just sample it and just play it again and again and again. And this is me playing the guitar as well. I've just recorded a little bit of guitar, just cut it up, resampled it, and I've got some backwards drum beats going on in the background as well. So record it all, then just reverse it. Yeah, I'm using this Logic Pro X software on the Apple, and I know a lot of people use Ableton and other kind of software to do their stuff on. I found Ableton is quite dancey. It's good if you want to do dance music or whatever. But this, I think this is a bit more. You can break it down to its parts a bit easier, and I think creating it is more a musical kind of job rather than a groove type generation thing that you do with some software. So I mean, I play the piano. I'm no great pianist or whatever, but I do like that thing of having to play notes and do a kind of a good performance and not do bum notes and all that kind of thing. So for me, that's still quite an important thing, that I don't want to just be a one note, press it and then quantize it and then it's done. I do try and put a little bit of soul into it.